Okay, I would like to call the Madison County Economic Development Committee regular meeting to order. I'd like to confirm that we have a quorum, which we do. Our secretary is not here today, neither is Ms. Wilshauer. We need to adopt an agenda, and I assume that all of you folks received the agenda that Mr. Smith made changes to and submitted, which basically contains his reports for this meeting. So I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to adopt the amended agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion to adopt and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right. The May 12th, 2026 minutes, which Mr. Smith also sent out, I did go through them. I hope you had a chance to. I didn't see anything, any anomalies or any necessary corrections or additions. Are there any from the panel for the committee?
No, sir. Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, moved in second. Any further discussion on the minutes? If not, I entertain the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay?
I'll abstain. I was not here.
Okay, we have, chair votes aye, so we have all ayes with one abstention from Ms. Gardner because she was absent last meeting. All right, we do have a public comment. We do limit it to 3 minutes per speaker. We have an awful lot of stuff to push through today. Is there any public comment right now? Are there 1,000 people online? That's a first. member of the public who's present, but also online. All right. We need to put that in the minutes. And also, just to clarify, Kim, you're recording this to pass on to Mr. Smith, correct? Okay, thank you. All right. Essentially, when I emailed this original agenda out last week, I guess the purpose is that, you know, we've got some projects and goals underway, and we would just go ahead and get updates, status updates from all the leads. So I'm going to start off with the landfill project. Mr. Weekly, would you give a report on that, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. If you may recall, at the last EDC meeting, I provided a memo on some cursory or preliminary review and discussions I had with King George County, who currently has an active landfill permit. And based on that memo, and I can recirculate it again if you like, in the discussions we had, I guess it would be determined by this board if we should move further. You may recall, part of that summary found that while, yes, there's revenue, definite revenue would come to the county, there would be some regulatory burden, so we would need to plan for that, consult, contract service, hiring folks. But overall, would the general public support that? The difference between our site and King George are a couple of differences. They have roughly 600 acres, of which 380 some of those acreage is active landfill. I think their life expectancy for that site, unless they expand the permit further, is year 2043. Madison County has roughly around 240 some acres. I believe the old landfill site or brownfield site is 20 acres or less. So that would leave you at least a residual of 220 some acres. The question is to do what? If it's a landfill to reopen, I did check the regulations. I spoke with DEQ. It is allowed. There's obviously permitting and things that you would have to do before reaching approval. So the question is, if this body sees that as a project to continue to explore, do we feel like we have enough information to move on to other use? If I may, Mr. Chairman, just to speak briefly of some other use, because you are aware of solar, but I want to mention for the group. Thinking of other uses for that property, Mr. Jewett and then former Supervisor Dawson, when he was on the board, I believe Mr. Gordon and myself, we met what I call a landman, not the Amazon show, but a gentleman who represents a solar company and wanted to see our site. They wanted to position themselves for roughly about 1,000 acres. Again, I just gave you the total of acreage that the county has, so we could not do that by ourselves. However, we said if you go speak to neighbors, you get some contiguous properties, and it seems like those properties plus ours get you there. We would happily revisit that. We never heard back. I believe Mr. Nichols, and he could speak in a little more detail, we've had some initial discussions with Dominion Energy. I think they're looking to do projects like many utility companies, specifically electric. They're looking to boost the grid. And I think they were looking for battery storage and potential solar. That site, for them, obviously too small in the proximity to infrastructure. They felt like it would be not a good candidate. So overall, I just gave a briefing of what we explored for reopening a landfill, potential solar uses, and if neither of those fit the bill, would we look to pursue things such as an industrial park or let the landfill set for its current use, which the front portion is a transfer station and the back is basically for timbering. About every 20 to 25 years that's harvested. And I think the last time that was done, it brought in about $400,000. So that's what I have to report, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to take questions or get further directions so I know where my energies need to focus.
All right, before I open up discussion to the committee, Mr. Weaver and I have discussed this extensively. I hate this thing. Mr. Weekly and I have discussed this extensively, and based upon his initial research and political considerations, we feel like that further pursuit of reopening the landfill is probably not a feasible project. However, the landfill development project will still be ongoing. As Mr. Weekly said, we would still be looking at possible ways to monetize our county's investment in that property and to contribute to our taxes. So I'm opening the floor to discussion with the committee. Where do you folks stand on that? Do you think that's how we ought to proceed from here on, or do you have any other suggestions? Or do you want to continue pursuing reopening the landfill?
I think your opportunities for the landfill property are somewhat limited because it still has the same infrastructure constraints as much of the other areas of the county. So it's going to be something that's more or less, self-supporting on that site. So it'd be more challenging to do manufacturing that requires more power, or even, Mr. Weekly stated, the battery storage and what have you. It's not big enough to merit building the infrastructure to get there for that kind of a return. So the uses are challenging. You might have to wait and see if somebody comes along with a proposal that fits. I know that we've done wait and see forever, and that's not ideal. But we'll expand on that a little bit more with Business District.
Okay. So are we in agreement that we are not going to pursue reopening the landfill? Is everybody on board with that, or is there any objections to that? It certainly is a possibility, but again, what is the downside of trying to do it? We may not want it. Public probably would not want it. But again, we're not leaving any stone unturned in our research of what we can do for the county. So just to reiterate that. All right, so we'll move on with that, and the status of that is officially ongoing additional research. Tourism Enhancement Project. Judge, you're the lead on that.
Yeah, we've been pretty busy with the Virginia 250, but I'm not quite, it is on,
It is.
sorry. With the Virginia 250, so Molly and I are actually meeting next week, and we're going to spitball some ideas for this. But we had one idea that came up that I thought was interesting in one of our other meetings, that apparently President Hoover was gifted by a local kid a possum during Hoover Day. And it was a local kid from the mountains. So there's other counties in our area that do like a Black Bear Festival and other festivals similar to that. We could have some type of possum festival that would bring people in from outside the county and might develop something along those lines. Again, that's just one of the spitball ideas that Ms. Berry brought up when we were talking about different things to do. So those type of ideas, is that what you're considering enhanced tourism?
Anything that can increase the traffic and increase the spending. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
That's the ultimate goal.
Yep, and you're taking the lead on the community playhouse, which I think is going to do a lot of that as well.
I'll get to that in just
Yep.
when I get to my report.
Yep.
Why couldn't that kid have gifted like a mountain lion or a bobcat? That sounds a lot better than a possum.
I don't know. It might be a pretty unique festival.
So I had to find a possum for the 2014 reenactment.
Oh.
That was what so the 250 thing's fine, finding a possum, and then I was asked to also find a blimp that would fly over. That part didn't happen. But, yeah.
Jeez. Okay, well,
And I did look up if that was really a true story. So,
Yeah.
but I found other people saying it wasn't, like online. And that he was gifted one at the White House by somebody else. But
I've got
That
all
happened
the,
here.
yeah.
Okay.
Documents on that.
and just to kind of give us an update, and Tracy, you can probably chime in on this. What is the current traffic in our wineries and our Airbnbs? I mean, is it up, down, static?
So next time we can actually get this whole report, but Advanced Travel and Tourism is a company that we're contracting with, and we're dipping our toe in. Greene County gives them $60,000 a year. Orange and Culpeper give them more than that. And we are going to start with, I was asked to do it like 10 to 12,000, but the lowest we could probably go was 18, so I'm doing that for next year. But met with her, so they kind of give you, they do all digital. They mainly focus on search engine optimization and focus in on lodging, which Mr. Whitman can give you a heads up on that, on who pops up when people are searching. And it's a lot of times companies and counties that work with this company. They're at every single event that I go to tourism-wise, and I've had a relationship for years with them. But so I'm going to probably move some of our print advertising into that, and we'll talk about that at the next tourism meeting as well. But they do market research. They work with the AI companies, the ones, Placer AI, that I can't afford to do on my own. They do experimental marketing, pop-ups, event takeovers, creative services, social media mainly. They can go in and do everything, email marketing if you're interested in that. But to get to your point, they gave us an example of the Placer AI. So time period for last year, total trips were 194,000. Average monthly visitors were 13.9. Nightly visits were 277, and a total visitor spend of 1.6 million. What they noticed is that the total spend was more, the nightly stays were less. Would you agree with? Probably, okay. And then, our number one origin where people come from is Washington, D.C., which we already knew, 430,000 people.
Great.
Yeah. Richmond, 143,000. Roanoke, 103,000. Norfolk, 88,000. Baltimore, 79. Philadelphia, 72, which was good to know because I do advertise in those places. And New York was 63. Getting to the... we are attracting affluent, financially secure visitors, power elite, boomers with confidence, thriving boomers. We want to target more of those, but also get the young city solos and flourishing families. Now we get into the nitty-gritty. Top one, as far as wineries go and places of interest, is Early Mountain Vineyard, 16,000. Prince Michelle was 12. Bavarian Chef, 10,000. Ball Top, 9. Giovanna's came in at 5,000. Pagan Steak, 5,000. They were neck and neck. Piedmont, 3,000. Inn at Meander was 1.5, and Revelation was 1.4. I will say Ducar doesn't show up because it goes by cell phones. And
Okay,
he does not like that. Nor does Old Rag, so.
interesting.
And a lot of them actually come from the Bird Visitor Center in the park. Total visitors of 57,000.
What's the general regional, well, I'd say regional trend with regard to, with tourism and spending and visitations? Are we paralleling what's going on in the region, or are we above, below?
We're paralleling.
Parallel, okay.
And just speaking to a winemaker or owner that I know, Wine and Beer, that they were down earlier in the year, and the attendance is up now. My business is down still, not as good as it was last year or the year before. So I think things are starting to pick up for them, and hopefully that means pick up for me as well.
And then a lot of focus for us too with Go Virginia and those grants. We've all got those going and getting a lot of inventory on items we can use and reels and pictures and that kind of thing.
Okay. This isn't in the agenda, but this might be a good place to mention it, the Meander 300th. I have to ask you when I'm supposed to be there.
It's from 6 to 10 on Friday.
But, okay, so I better be there at 6, right?
Definitely be there.
Okay.
I would get there a little bit earlier just
A little bit
because of-
earlier.
Yeah, because you're
Okay.
doing 3 to 5 for the auditions, right?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be dressed and leave from there early, so.
Okay. I'm hoping it's not 96 degrees and raining, is what I'm hoping for.
Oh, but could you just kind of refresh us as to what that event involves and kind of what they're doing right now? Because they're actually doing a lot of stuff,
They are
spending a
doing
lot of money.
They,
Spend.
Hold on. They just received it's a new investor, new owner, and he's really taken off. He is known, he came from Canada, he's the only person that does these special Nordic spas. But they did receive a $30,000 grant from Virginia Tourism as well. So they're celebrating their 300th year anniversary. So they're planning to have a lot of people there, a lot of historians, a lot of visitors, a lot of people that came from there. They are to give the full thing. They're adding on to their accommodations, but then they're also adding the spa aspect as well. And the spa aspect is not just for people staying there. He plans to make it affordable for people who live locally to also utilize the spa.
Okay. Yeah, they're interesting people. Got a chance to meet them at the dinner. A lot of good ideas.
And
Anything-
farm-to-table kind of thing, too.
What's that?
Farm-to-table for the restaurant. And
Okay.
getting new chefs and that kind of thing.
I know that they had to spend a lot of money just in upkeep,
Yes.
repairs.
Yes.
Okay, so, anything else on tourism? Judd? Tracy?
Good for now. Everything else is moving ahead, too. Taste the mountains.
Good.
I'd just like to recognize, well, one, the Business Appreciation Dinner, I enjoyed it, and it did give us a chance to meet. It just so happened that Meander folks were sitting at our table. But connecting them with Ms. Miller, even though her case hadn't been heard or approved until 2 days following. But speaking of Ms. Miller, with her, I don't know if we want to call it a artisan-type school, the old Gilliam store on 15, she's looking for that 72-hour experience. Those are Meander clients. Those are short-term rental, hopefully Mr. Buchanan clients, and even Willow Grove, where we can get a chance to pull people across the county line. So these complementary businesses are well. The RV folks that were just approved the other night, y'all approved. I mean, it goes well with our own campground or folks looking to travel across country. So I think, when it comes to tourism, those are just some businesses that's added value.
And they're looking at having a mini travel center there with brochures and a visitor center kind of experience on 29, which would be cool.
That's great. All right, we're going to touch back on some of this tourism stuff down the list. Hoover Ridge Event Center project. Mr. Gordon, how are we progressing?
Yes, sir, we're progressing pretty well, actually. In comparison, we have gotten a tremendous amount of donation. I say we, and mainly Parks and Rec and Sport Hoover Ridge. If you haven't been down there, the hockey rink is completely assembled with surfacing. They've got their Connex boxes down there with all their equipment. They're ready to go. We have a few more housekeeping things that we have to complete there as far as lighting goes. I've talked to some of the hockey folks, and they are now in play to have some travel tournaments come in and tournaments bringing in teams from out of the area. So that should bring in a little bit. The playground is 95% complete. They have to pour the surfacing over that. That should be done in the next week and a half, and that part of the project will be complete. Pending in the next couple of weeks, the splash pad and corresponding groundwork, we expect to bring that to the board for approval on donated funds as well, most of which has come from the Thompson Foundation. So those are all coming up there. We do have a tremendous amount of work after that is done, lighting, power delivery, power distribution, the concession stand, hard surfacing for the road, the parking lot rather. With that splash pad, you're gonna have to find a way to mitigate the dust, or you're gonna be spending countless hours and probably dollars to replace filters and pumps and things of that nature. A lot of different things need to happen to come in play. We're gonna go back to the Thompson Foundation in the fall for another grant potentially. We're also out there looking at grants across the country. Unfortunately, a lot of the recreational grants go to cover specific items. It's very few grants out there that just say, have at it, build your park. One of the ones that come to mind, and they're blowing my phone up a little bit, is a fitness rink of some sort where you go out there, you pull up bars and weightlifting and things of that nature. They'll pay for that on a grant, but they won't help you get to where you need to be to start that type of thing. So we're exploring all the avenues there. We're a heck of a lot closer now than I thought we would be 2 years ago. So we're getting there, but it takes money to do this thing, and we got to find ways to make it.
If I may add one thing to that, and it's really a question for our two, well, really you three, the two board of supervisors and Ms. Gardner. It's been some time, many years ago, we talked about potential signage on 29. I don't know if that'd be a qualifier, and I'm talking Hoover Ridge Park, a qualifier for TOTS funds. If it is, Tracy, what would the TOT committee need? An official formal request from the Board of Supervisors if they wanted to do that, to funds for signs on, I don't know, Fairground Road and 29? Or what does that look like to make that request?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because grants don't cover signs, I know that much.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that would be very appropriate for the top committee, don't you?
So how should the request go to them?
Either way, it can come from Parks
All
and
right.
Rec or the board.
I'll talk to our two members and see when they would, if they want that on a future agenda. And, 'cause that's some of it too. I mean, I know Park by word of mouth, like these folks that do Frisbee golf, they must talk to each other. They're out there all the time. But if you have signage, it may help draw, whether it's music in the park or whatever they're doing out there.
And that's something too. I was out there looking at some infrastructure concerns this past week, and I ran into a group of people walking. None of them were from Madison. Half of them were from Green, the other half were from Culpeper. So I guess maybe the Midway, I'm not sure about that. Also to that point, this weekend, the Parks and Rec softball is hosting the district tournament there. I think there's 9 teams that are gonna be there this weekend and better part of next week. So that's a large influx. It's just a matter of whether or not they go to our local restaurants and stores and buy the things.
When I was out there with my granddaughter's soccer games, I noticed some of the food trucks were out there. Is that something that's consistent, or?
It will be. Lindsay has talked with several of those, and that's gonna be the plan for this outdoor recreation center is in the summertime, specifically for the splash pad. And I would imagine the minute school's out, you're gonna have a lot of babysitters bringing kids down there to hang out at the splash pad, and the idea is to have food trucks there. Concession stand is being geared more towards finger food type of things and items that people may need, diapers, things of that nature. But the food trucks are definitely being talked to about getting out there when this thing gets done.
Okay. Well, thank you. There's a lot of stuff moving quickly on Hoover Ridge. Hopefully, we can get the funding we need to finish it. But thank you. I know you've been involved with this for a long time. We really appreciate your efforts. Okay, Allen Business District project. While you're discussing that, how about if you give an update on what's going on with RSA, their possible water grants, some of the things we're trying to talk to them about for extending some water and sewer? Would that be appropriate?
I think that they go hand in hand. So before we could develop a business district as like a zoning overlay for properties that we are most amenable for commercial uses, we really do need to solve the utility problem. So before we can even go down the road of business district, RSA certainly is at the top of the list. So I did sit in on a meeting, not going to go over all the details, but I sat down with Joe Ray Daniels and his team, David Jarrell and Tim Clemens at the RSA office to talk about some of their future plans for expanding and how that's going. The plant upgrade is underway. They're in the middle of doing it right now, but they have not yet acquired their easements for the Robinson outfall. So until that is accomplished and constructed, then there's no new capacity. It is starting to, it's becoming very clear that I think that the county may need to put a little money into some engineering to plan where the expansion should go for new services in the near future. So at a macro level, we need to plan where we need to run the lines. I think that we should plan to add wastewater lines to at least match where supply lines go now. So, for example, right now you've got the town of Madison essentially served. Your wastewater line stops at about behind Food Lion, and then water supply continues down 29, past Yoder's, all the way down to the Sheets, essentially, around the corner to the Plow and Hearth. It would make sense that some of those prime parcels through there for commercial development opportunities would have wastewater to match. We've talked about the Gentry Drive parcels in the past, as well as Tina Weaver's property that's next to mine and across the highway. It would be a good start to at least have water and sewer service to run that stretch. And I think that if the county would pay for some engineering dollars to see what needs to happen to extend that service and have the plan, then we can seek the funding to make it happen. But I think we might have to go out on a limb and spend a few dollars to get there. Don't think I'm out of line by saying I'm very hopeful with the change in who's in the seat at RSA. David's been very nice to talk to. Will communicate with you when it comes to things, very even-keeled, which is nice. And so I'm hopeful that as that change takes place and he gets his footing in his new position there, that he'll be nice to work with in accomplishing some of these things. So RSA is progressing, albeit slowly. So we know some of the things that they want to do to try to get water across 29 to service some of the new housing. Along with that, I know that the Moore property where the manufactured home park is behind resettlement, that 50 acres has sold. There are a number of contiguous parcels. I did have a chance to meet with the new property owner as well as his attorney, and we talked about potential plans for that property. They are pursuing some residential development. That individual has done mobile home parks. That's his career, what he's invested in a lot of those. But I think he understands that times are changing and he's ready to pivot to more permanent housing strategies. So he's seeking townhomes or apartments or similar and trying to figure out how to overcome objections with those things and how he can be a good neighbor. So he's asking questions like, what does the county want? Kind of thing, which is nice to work with people who want to do something that fits. Certainly, water and sewer objections for development to come there. So, yeah, I mean, with your business development and business district, it's the same questions that every business asks, right? Does the county provide a transportation network? We got the highway there. Water, sewer, working on making that happen. Do we have enough power? Depends on what you need. And then it's schools, and do I have housing for the people that I want to bring to work there? That's where we are. So we're slowly working through these things. But I do think the next step is going to be in the board's hands to pay for some engineering. But let's talk to David and see if he'll work with us on that.
Yeah, and this has been going on, this debate has really intensified in the last, 6 months plus with the R3, R4 changes.
Yes.
And the EDU policy coming from RSA with the expansion, there are some issues with that, but thinking long-term, which is how we have to think, this infrastructure extension in our business area is really, I think, a priority in that we need to be able to claim some of these new EDUs for business development, or else the tendency is that the housing developers are going to want to take all of them. And, we don't want huge housing developments in Madison that blow our infrastructure and our way of living out of the water. So I think that, the engagement with RSA and hopefully with the new general manager, we're going to finally get some movement and decisions made on infrastructure and being able to come up with plans so we can go to the General Assembly and ask for some money to pay for it, which they have been amenable to that for our surrounding counties. But would you follow up with the water, because it looks like we may get that $12 million.
Yes. I don't know if they filed the application or not. Jonathan, maybe you can weigh in on this one, but I know that they had a 1.4 to 1.6 million VDH grant and then some additional loan dollars too for improving the water lines that was there.
Yes, we would have to ask RSA. I know the memo that was provided to me by RSA member, our representative, Mr. Elliott, it indicated, I think, roughly around $6 million, to which a little over $1 million would be basically a forgivable grant. The rest would have to be financed. The application, according to that memo, would have been filed by yesterday. So hopefully they did. And then that would just mean at a future date, RSA staff and the board of directors would need to talk terms for that. Those projects, they had a list of CIP projects. It would include basically replacing the existing line on Thrift Road, which is much needed. That's how everyone gets their water. It would be extending water from Waverly further down Main Street, which kind of bypassed that private handshake line that goes on down and feeds EMS and fire. So that would be nice. They are trying to get under 29, so that would be crossing even the northbound side to get over there. Hopefully also to do a loop, come back through Maple Drive and tie into the newer line they put in probably, I guess, about 2 years ago. I think they increased to an 8-inch. They went under from McDonald's under 29, and somewhere on Oak Park Road, it ends, but they increased the size, I believe, 8-inch. And they're doing some things at the treatment plant, which overall improves quality or things of that nature. So that's the bulk of the projects for that funding. To Alan's point, it's really those easements and funding for the outfall for the wastewater plant that would really, really holds things up unless we got a clear path forward. Because you can build the nicest treatment plant in the world, if you don't have the outfall, you're not doing anything. And quickly they can do that because the treatment plant they are building is for $160,000, not the $240 that they're permitted, their highest tier, which would make more EDUs. So the new EDU availability you've heard Alan and I talk about, as well as RSA, that's just for the $160,000. So you have probably another 400 or 500 out there, assuming they could upgrade to the 240 at some unknown time.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Is there anything else on the business district / RSA infrastructure?
We'll solve RSA first, we'll go to the next step then.
Sounds good. All right, number 5 and number 6, the analysis of the tax structure. Jim Smith's leading that in cooperation with the Commissioner of Revenue, and he's not here, so I don't know
Want me to
when.
do a brief, just a
Oh, yeah,
brief?
sure.
It's not like, I'm in that, I think we're calling it Revenue Workforce Group or Task Force, whatever we're calling ourselves. I've had a couple good meetings. We're supposed to come back. What we have learned in looking at business professional occupancy license or BPOL tax is there's either, a merchant's capital, or you can do BPOL, or there's a hybrid model out there. I can't remember if it was Henrico that uses the hybrid model. One thing that was important to note, that if you eliminated merchant's capital, you cannot bring it back. It's not we don't like this, let's go ahead and hold a public hearing and put that back in the ordinance. So that we have to be very careful of. Mr. Daniel has been great by looking at various businesses. Apparently, you can put these or sort these businesses by a certain code, whether that's timber or retail, whatever it is. So still a lot of work to be done on that, but the idea is to kind of, you can look at the model that you currently have, which is Merchants Capital. You can look at BPOL, or you can look at a combination and what that could possibly yield to the county. The last part, and I mentioned to Jim Smith, I think he copied you as well, Mr. Jewett, in there is the emissions tax. And we have started a cursory review on that. Basically, by looking at the Code of Virginia, they do allow now up to, if you wanted to charge a tax for that, up to 10% of what the emissions ticket cost. So we're beginning to explore that and looking for localities who have implemented, so we can kind of go through the lessons learned. Again, to your point, this committee researches. That is not a for or against position. I just wanted to let you know we are also looking at the emissions tax while we're looking at BPOL. So hopefully I'll have a report in the near future.
All right, thank you, and I apologize for not remembering that you're on that task force.
That's all right. I don't like to be in front of the camera, sir. I just was doing an update for Mr. Smith.
I appreciate that very much, which really ties in with legislative programs. I sent emails out to the sheriff, all the other constitutional officers, informing them that we were going to be looking at supporting legislation that they might have a preference for. And they responded, they thanked me, but I haven't heard anything since then. I am pursuing with EMS. I know they're working on the billing in place or soft billing program, that legislation, both the state and federal level. I have to follow up with Gavin on that to see where they're at, try to put something together for our, our legislative meeting that we're planning to have later on. The other issue right now, I think that, and this is something that is definitively been executed by the school board, is that they have requested that the Board of Supervisors place the 1% sales tax for school construction on the referendum ballot for November. if that is permitted once the budget reconciliation process is done. And I've spoken extensively with Graham Davidson about this. And I can't speak for the entire Board of Supervisors, but my position is I think the voters ought to decide it. I think we should send it to the voters, up or down. And the law requires that. We can't say up or down. My reservations with it are that, and this is what I'm going to do over the summer, I'm actually going to do some scenario analytical modeling on that tax if we implemented it, and how it would, what would be the bottom line for our county taxpayers of having the 1% tax to fund school improvements versus not having it. Because it's going to definitely shift burden from property tax to sales tax. Big question is how much of that sales tax are we getting from people that are not residents? I think that's one of the big objectives of that is to pull in revenue that let outsiders finance it more so than us. But you did mention that that would be roughly estimate of $1.7 million.
1.7, yes, sir.
Okay, but that's part of the model because what I'm going to propose to this group is that when we do our town hall in August, I'm going to have that model to present to folks and the voters so they know exactly what they're voting for or against. I don't like generalizations and say, oh, this sounds like a good thing. Well, it probably is, but I want to see the numbers, and I think the voters do too. So that is the one legislative initiative that has moved forward, that's actually definitely moving forward. And again, I'm waiting to hear from some of these departments. This has really put us on a short schedule. We'll know next year to start a little earlier, but this is the instructions from our legislators. And Mr. Weekly, where are we at on possibly meeting with them August or September?
So I think it's possible. One of the things I wanted to ask here today, and I've been talking with our Fauquier counterparts who've been doing this for the last couple of years, and they just had to cancel. I think they had a July 9th meeting or something planned. But I was asking, how do you accomplish this? Do you do it through an EDC, kind of like what we have, or is it a couple of board members? How do you do it? They have a regular board meeting where they have them come in. So I don't know, as you recall, the EDC asked, and you as the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, and they did task this group as a legislative priority. So my question would be, so we confirm dates, are we looking to have that, I don't know if you want to call it a lunch and learn or whatever, with the EDC committee, sir, or is there a certain groups? We would also put that out there to the schools, as I know it was discussed at the board meeting. Who do you wish to have present at that meeting, bringing in our state representatives?
Have you contacted their offices regarding what their preference would be, or?
I have not. I mean, I know that they are willing to do that. It's just working out mainly dates for them because they're handlers. That's probably a terrible term. It's really looking at their calendars and what you're looking to do. Specifically, I know they like to have more than, say, just a line item that says, impact fees or mobile integrated health, to kind of have some summary of what we're looking to do with those bills. I do know I've been given that feedback so they can hit the ground running with those as they develop before the regional legislative platform. So I don't think it matters if they prefer to meet with EDC or the board. I think they are more concerned with, all right, do we have a little more developed, as you mentioned, community paramedicine or impact fees? So when we do meet, it's meaningful time and we have a little more of a summary of what we're trying to do. So is the idea for this group to meet with those representatives?
Well, first of all, I'm glad you jogged my memory about something important, and that's so important I forgot it. And that's the fact that we have the VACO regional meeting next week. Correct. And I think that once we attend that, we'll get a better idea of where VACO is going with legislation. I know some of it is what we have done, Jim Smith and I did with Karen Hamilton this year. But I think once we have an idea of what they're pushing, we can pull some of that fits us. That might be a better way to approach that. But I would be glad to contact Senator Reeves and Delegate Hamilton and even Representative Vidman's office to ask them what would work for them, given that we're a small county, can they schedule, come meet with the board or a joint board, school board meeting? How would that work? Is that something that's even doable?
The EDC or the BOS?
I think it should be with the board, not
Okay.
us.
Okay. And would you prefer at a regular meeting, or does it matter based on their availability?
Probably we should be flexible based upon what they
Okay.
can do.
Okay.
Because I'm sure that if we pin them down to one of our regular meetings or what, it's not going to work.
The feedback I got from, I don't think Mr. James,
Want that, though?
What's that?
Have them come to our regular meeting if they were able to.
I don't know, that's a good choice.
Public could be here.
Of course, public doesn't come anyway unless we're talking about dog kennels.
I would ask them first if they could make one of the meetings that we currently have. And then
Okay.
I think we could be flexible.
okay.
Okay,
We
yeah,
could do
let's,
that.
I'll talk to them. Let's talk among our other supervisors and see what they prefer. I think they're pretty flexible too.
Okay.
And then get feedback from you guys.
And we can always add that from the floor today to your agenda under discussion and get that. The feedback I got, I don't think Mr. James would mind me sharing. We had a chief administrative officer call with Ellen James and Patrick Molly last Friday. They talked a lot about impact fees, so I know that's on the radar. What advice he got was, you've got proffers and then impact fees. Ellen felt like that gives two bites at the apple, so the General Assembly may not be friendly with that. But they did ask to see if they, if we develop that a little bit more, maybe try to get another patron with Ms. Hamilton. Particularly if you can get a bipartisan patron, it may be easier to get that to go through. At least survive committee. That was
Right.
feedback that they had on that. Community paramedicine, I think if we're looking at that, we can really go out there and kind of pull what West Virginia did. I don't understand how some states, and I know how it works through Congress, but they're given privy to this while other states are left out. But there's probably legislation that already exists that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's just getting them to make that push for, basically the reimbursement from insurance to make that happen, so.
I would like to have a report, and Jim and I work on this, a written report to submit to those legislators prior to our meeting. And possibly even having some short presentations during that meeting, just to get the discussion going. Not a half-hour PowerPoint, oh, God. But at least just a summary of here are the 5 legislative initiatives, and like for EMS, have somebody from EMS come in and give, 5-minute talk about the paramedicine program. Jim Smith and I can do something about the impact fee proposals, et cetera, so that it's structured. Because I don't want them to come here and it's like, okay, what are we talking about? What do you
Right.
want? That's going to make us look bad.
Right, and it's efficient use of their time
Right.
as well.
And they like, and I know working with Senator Reeves for several years, he likes stuff that the I's dotted and the T's crossed because it makes his job easier. Ms. Hamilton, the same way. But our legislators, all 3 that deal with us state and federal level, I have to say they've been very helpful whenever we've reached out to them. So we want to cultivate that relationship. Anything else on that?
Just last thing, expect CBA to come back. I was told that, so.
Oh, we know that's coming back.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have the budget done by then. I see now they're name calling. What's Louise Lucas calling Speaker Scott? Amazon Dawn? He's got some nickname. She's got some nickname. She's a colorful character. Ugh. It's amazing. All right. Under the new business and projects review, since Molly's not here, Judd, would you kind of
Well,
give a summary of that?
sure, but actually we have Heather here, right? So Heather is part of Molly's crew.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, welcome, Heather.
Give her a microphone and
Sure.
give us a little update on how it went. I'm sorry? She's gonna give you a microphone, just announce who you are and where you're from.
My name's Heather. I am a Madison County resident. I've lived here for 6 years, but for various reasons, I have not been actively involved. I saw a sign for the Fantasy Festival, actually at Cake Crumbs, and decided I really wanted to be a part of it, and Molly is a wonderful woman to talk to, and she, when I asked, how can I help this get better? How can I push this? I want this to succeed. She said, come to this meeting. So I'm here. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I don't know exactly what kind of information you're looking for. I was kind of the front gate fairy, so I saw most of the cars and most of the people who came into the fair, the festival. So I don't know that I have any official numbers or anything, but I can certainly answer questions to the experience there, though.
So talk about the people who did come visit. What was their demeanor? How did they behave?
Oh, my goodness. Everyone was in such a great mood. We had, I haven't been involved in my community, so I asked a lot of people, are you local? Are you coming from far? And we had a very good mix of both, to be honest with you. But I would say almost every single person was in a great mood. I was there every Saturday and Sunday from before opening to after closing, and I was there throughout the week also volunteering, and pardon me, I think I came across one woman who was kind of not in the best of mood, but it had nothing to do with the festival itself, though.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Did you find that the music was too loud or?
No, I didn't, and I'm not sure if this is something I'm supposed to talk about, but there were two sheriffs that came here, or that came to the festival one evening. We were still open. The first one who came in, who I did not catch names, I apologize. He said that on his way in to the festival, and going into the festival, the drive is a good half-mile long, I believe. And he said that he was halfway down the drive. He opened up his windows and turned his radios down. And he said he could barely hear a faint thing. He came, and I was the first person he saw, and he was asking me questions. No one lowered music when they came. Another sheriff followed him in, and we all answered questions. They found nothing wrong. No one who was there I never certainly heard anyone complain about the noise levels at all. Yeah, I found that we were really keeping it pretty decent.
Good. And I know that myself and several other supervisors.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what their complaints were. I do believe that they were noise complaints. I do know that, I don't know that these were the same neighbors, but at certain points during our opening hours, we were hearing gunshots, some of them feeling and sounding close to the festival. We didn't allow any firearms, we didn't allow any weaponry of any sort. Any weaponry that was there was a fake sword or something. But we had, I know a couple of vendors that I personally spoke to felt that it sounded a bit dangerous. It sounded a bit too close to our fairgrounds. That was the only noise complaint that I personally heard from anyone within the festival, customers or vendors or entertainers.
Now, I had a lady call me actually Saturday night, but I was at entertaining, so I didn't answer the phone. But I called her back, and I mean, she just went on, and a whole list of things, most of which were either not relevant or absolutely false. And I followed up with all the county officials, my fellow supervisors. I was at the festival. I really liked it. And I responded to her, and I actually, professionally and positively, and explained, tried to answer every one of her, her concerns, which I think I did. And I shared that with Molly as well, so she knows. So, I mean, Molly's been good about working, and if there's something going on, we can talk to Molly and say, Molly, this might be a problem, and she's not defensive. She'll work with us. I like Jim Smith's comment when he says about he visited this festival, and he said if anyone heard noise, it was the sound of someone else paying taxes that they would otherwise pay. So that's, I think, a good point.
Mr. Jewett, if I can,
So I went several times. I'm sorry.
no, I was just going to say that as manning the phones there in the zoning office, and seeing how full the room was during the public hearing, we had 2 total phone calls during all the events, one of which we unpacked together of the not relevant complaints. And considering how much attention was on the event and how full the room was and how everybody on social media was just looking for an excuse, it's not there.
We
This is
did have
fine.
some neighbors come in who introduced themselves as neighbors and saying that they just wanted to look around, and I think we welcomed them graciously, and I never heard anything negative on their way out. So, not that they all stopped and said anything positive either, I just didn't hear any complaints, and we did definitely have neighbors who said, we're just here checking things out. So I think that that might be some.
Yeah, one of the comments that I received was they weren't hiring local people, and I'm like, I've met many local people there that were hired, not to mention there was parking, you were there, you know, greeting. There's other people that they hired locally at a good pay.
Yeah.
And also that the vendors there, like we had a food truck and we had a bakery there. They were doing brisk business.
Kate Crumbs was there and Los
Los
Brothers was there.
And then there's a couple booths there from local, you know, retail people.
It's such a joyous place, and it was very easy. Personally speaking, I've got anxiety. This isn't comfortable. But it was so easy talking to everyone there because it's truly an experience that I believe in. I feel proud that this is 10, 15 minutes from my home. When I was at the front gate welcoming people, I felt good about saying, Los Brothers are right down the street. Kate Crumbs is working as Moonwood Cafe, I think it was. It was so easy for me to talk to people because it's such, to me, an easy thing to really get behind and to want to succeed. The vendors there are making things by hand. The entertainers are entertaining. And everyone's in such a good mood. People come from afar. There's a good circuit of people who follow Ren fairs, Renaissance festivals, and fantasy festivals. And I thought it was a great experience. I think it's something that is really easy to stand behind, and I hope really grows.
She had learning events there too, so I think there's gonna be more of that in the future, but they had a blacksmith there, and he had 4 students, all 3 times I went there, they were busy.
My husband took 2 of his classes,
something,
yes.
so
My
they-
husband blew glass there.
Yeah,
We
the-
came home
I
with
like
glass
the
from
glass
local
blower.
artists.
Yeah.
There's leather artists there, there were fire artists there, entertainers, sleight of hand artists. There's something for everyone. We had a kids zone. And nothing was brought in and sold. Everything from vendors was made by hand. And I think it's a really positive experience for the county.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. But I didn't recognize you without your ears.
My ears and my wings.
Yeah, your
It's
wings.
the wings for me. I think if she'd had the wings. it
Thank you
would've
very much. And thank you for coming today.
been- Oh, I was just gonna add, just driving the roads. I only went one day, but driving the roads, there was no traffic, there was no
No.
additional litter, there was nothing that we were so sure people were gonna say there was, but there was not.
And there weren't people that were drinking too much and stumbling around, it was very mellow.
I apologize. There's actually one other thing that I think, I don't know if it's relevant. One of the weekends, I believe it was the third weekend, was incredibly rainy and incredibly muddy. And word of mouth, from what I understand, the Virginia Renaissance Festival, which takes place in Spotsylvania, they were turning away anyone who hadn't pre-bought their tickets. So we were getting some overflow from them. And we were a little bit concerned, how are we, this is getting muddy. There was no one that was stuck. Any cars that were kind of in the mud, we had a strong group of people pushing everyone out. And even with that incredibly muddy, rainy situation, there were people out there happily trudging around in the mud. When they got stuck, they knew that immediately guys were coming over to start pushing their cars. And even on what could have been a negative day, even then, attitudes were great. And I think everything went as well as could have been, as possibly be.
This is funny about the Renaissance festivals in the area, but if it's a rainy, muddy day, people show up that just come on muddy days.
Oh, for
They
sure.
play in the mud.
Okay.
I'm new to this. The last Renaissance Festival I went to was about 25 years ago. Something I saw this, and my kids are grown, and somehow I wanted to be in fairy ears and wings. But I think that that the people who came and everyone who's there, there is such a strong this group of people that even people who weren't from here were saying, so local people, oh, hey, it's been so long, how are we? And so I really think that though this is the first festival they're holding, the word of mouth that got around was like really, really great because there is this really strong community of people that does this. Yeah, and it's kind of cool to now be part of that community, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's good, and that's a significant revenue generator, which is nice. Right, Judd?
That's right.
All right, RV business, that was approved this past week. Alan, can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, so the Rashids are very interesting people. And they are moving their RV sales, service, and rental business from Northern Virginia out here. So just their comments were it was getting prohibitively expensive to do business in Northern Virginia. And the regulatory environment was not great up there, and they wanted to make a change. So they considered a number of our neighboring counties. They found us pleasant to work with and had suitable properties, and so they decided that they were going to land here. That rezoning that you just approved there at Shelby is allowing them to expand. We've issued, permits appropriately that were sitting on the shelf waiting for the rezoning, and so they are moving into their space. And so if you'll notice, their inventory is growing significantly out there. And I stopped in the day after the public hearing to go retrieve the sign and say congratulations and what have you. And they say the inventory you see out there is about 10% of what they'll be garaging here. And so, but, like you want in rental businesses, most things are out the door. So, most things will not be sitting there all the time. They'll be
Right.
out. But yeah, they're lovely to work with, and we're very glad that they're here, and we hope they bring their friends.
Okay. Next one, Madison Mills project. You can talk about that. Disclaimer, I voted against that Wednesday night. Not because I was against the project, but the SUP issues. Anyway. Could you kind of update us on what's going on with Madison Mills, what it is, and
So that particular project is the old general store that was there where 15 used to run at the edge of the county in Madison Mills. Diane Miller is purchasing that property to do a cooking school. So small, 12 students at a time, not really academically focused, but fun. Come learn something, 72-hour tourism activity. I think that it's just directly in line with all of our tourism initiatives, and if you had to pick something to write towards the comprehensive plan, this one was just right on point with everything we said we wanted, with, size and scope and location. It's right what we want. So I'm very pleased that they're pursuing that. I did send the congratulations and SUP document over to Diane, and I've not heard anything since, but I expect that she's very busy and putting together all the last of her things and now just beginning that project, now that she's overcome this hurdle. So I look forward to hearing from her soon, but again, we hope that she's also very successful and brings her friends.
okay?
I think it's worth the note too, she's using a local contractor to do her renovation, so that's
Joe
important as
Henshaw.
well. I think Mr. Henshaw was her contractor.
He does really good work, too.
Mr. Jewett, can I add?
Sure.
Because it's a compliment for Mr. Nichols' department. This and That also opened up, the Amish Furniture next to Piedmont Deli. And this is their 5th location, and they said Madison was the easiest county to work with. So,
Well, that's great. I was,
Did they say that before or after the violation? I said. No, we get along fine.
now, I'm going to bring this up at the reports at the board meeting here next, but, you know, Dustin Dawson, our previous supervisor, he's installing a generator at my son's house, and, you know, he had to get the permits, and he said that Madison County Building and Zoning Office, he loves to work with them because the public service is excellent. The inspections are done promptly. He said he walks into that office and the first words out of people's mouths, how can we help you? He said some of the neighboring counties, he'll go in, if he doesn't have every piece of information, they said, we can't do anything for you. So it's just a real compliment to that department. I know he's local, and I know he was previously on the board, but Dustin will tell you like it is. And he said that, you know, Madison really has no equal as far as service from that department. So that's, and that really is a compliment. And you're a big part of that department.
Well, thank you.
Okay, next thing, oh God, the Madison, Virginia Community Theater, or the Madison, Virginia Performing Arts, isn't that the official name? That is underway. We're getting the organizational documents ready for the 501c3. We are going to do the first performance on September 12th and 13th up in Banco at Mr. Martin's Barn, Event Barn, which if you've never been there, it's the old Graves home place. And he's graciously offered the use of it free of charge. It's perfect. It's a perfect venue for this particular play. And we're holding auditions this Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And hopefully we're going to get a fairly good turnout. And Chuck, you were telling me, how many hits has that story gotten? Jeez. Okay, that's better than auto accidents and court cases, right? No, they're better yet.
And Britt has our Facebook page up.
Yeah, Britt has a Facebook page up. So this is, and what's interesting, this particular play is, we're going to be doing different things in the county. We're trying to work with the schools, but this play is the first of a series based on Madison heritage. The second possible play has already been written by another author. So what we're trying to do with this, one of the goals is to have a heritage series of plays that will attract people with money to come to the county and spend money. Mr. Ducar, not Mr. Ducar, L. From Scott from the Ducard Vineyards, he's going to be there serving wine at the event. We don't know about the food vendor yet, but he's very enthusiastic about this group. He'd like to even see possibly we're talking to him about doing a mystery dinner theater at his vineyards in October, and it would be a Halloween theme. We're getting a lot of interest from localities, from some of the businesses about doing this because we're trying to set up something that's unique and will bring people into the county to make us more of a destination. I've really been impressed with the interest that we've seen from the community. So we'll see what happens, but a lot going on with that, and that's where we're at with that. Any questions? That's fine. All right. So that's what's going on with that, and then of course Jim sent us the Certified Dark Sky Community Ordinance. You know, it's probably Judd, Tracy. Do you want to kind of talk about what that envisions, where that's trying to go?
Just the Blue Ridge Park Committee that I'm on talked about the Dark Sky Network in our area, and we're one of the darkest places, especially up against the mountains in Syria, and other than the highland areas. So we want to try to save that and keep that. We have different astronomy clubs coming both to Descartes, to Blue Quartz, I'm sure the other wineries, and they come and they spend a lot of money. And they have their fancy equipment, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and then they hire caterers and they drink their beer and wine and they stay for a weekend. So we all know, Tracy, you could probably tell us what people spend on a weekend if they stay overnight.
Yes, so if they don't drink, they spend about $600. If they do, they spend about $1,200 to $1,400.
Yeah.
Get 'em drinking.
So, I mean, I've been to a couple of their events, and there's probably, depending if the weather's holding and it's good, they'll have 20 vehicles there with 30 or 40 telescopes, and they're just having a great time, and they're just all these really nerdy people that love astronomy. And so we want to try to keep our skies dark. I'd love to have an ordinance that kind of pushes that, and I'm not a big guy on ordinances or regulations, but I'd love to be able to market it, and I'm sure Tracy would too, that say that we do think dark skies is important, and we do think that tourism is relevant and brings money into the county.
Are you and Jim actually pursuing developing the text for you and Jim and Tracy? I mean, where are we at with that?
Just researching it right now, so
Okay.
that's where we are, but we can continue down the road with that.
So, great. Anything else on that?
And this is one of the few areas of regulation that I think I could get behind. I'd usually like to deregulate most things, but this one, I think it fits our broader initiatives that we like. And so if y'all would like some help with that one, I'd be happy to chime in there.
Sounds good.
I know more of our neighboring counties closer on the other side of Shenandoah as well have those already.
Oh, it's
And I
so
happened to
easy.
be wearing my sea turtle necklace that night from Hilton Head, and that's what they have. And it's for the animals, it's for the moon, it affects everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in
I
favor.
mean, we don't have sea turtles, but we have different animals like salamanders
Possums.
and bats and possums. And the light is- Protect the possum. So, yeah, I don't think there'd be too much opposition in the county for that, you know. We did have a little bit the other night when we were talking about the new school for the, restaurant business, but I don't think that was even a big thing. We just want the lights to be pointed down, so there's different lights that can do that and still make your space safe.
Yeah, there's so many options for that now, because so many localities have these lighting ordinances, and you have to be shielded to where you're not emitting light up, that there's all kinds of designs
Yeah.
that you have lots and lots of options that are compliant, because we are not inventing the wheel here.
Right.
So it should be a non-issue.
Oh, will they? Okay. Okay. On this property? Oh, we're just starting to explore now, but that'd be a good point.
A lot of lights haven't been upgraded for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pass an ordinance like that, it costs us, it costs y'all.
Oh, absolutely.
To be fair, you would end up with non-conforming issues. Anything new would have to conform, and anything existing would be fine to continue. Just as you replace and upgrade and through permitting, you would have to have fixtures that comply.
Like getting there is, the thing about this ordinance, probably will start for parks and things like that. Don't try to sell me something you ain't doing yourself.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
Just saying, I mean, it's a good question.
No, it's good.
Well, it's-
Especially athletic type fields.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Fairfax not too long, just a car deal made me think of. You know, that's not a bad thing to do at all. A lot of your lighting will actually be cheaper to upgrade and fix a lot of things to save the energy costs. It's not a bad thing at all.
Right. Right.
It's just, makes a lot of sense. I'm all for it.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Anything else on this, folks? Well, I tell you what, I lost the last page of my agenda, but I think it said other.
New business other, right?
Other. Is there anything else? If there is, fine, but we've got a lot on our plate right now. And what I'm envisioning for the town hall in August will be updates on what we're doing right now. I'm gonna do another budget analysis and projection, and then I'm also gonna do the analysis on the 1% sales tax. So that's what I'm planning to present. And if we know, we were familiar with how we did it last year, that's how I would assume we would pretty much do it this year. Is that, everybody in agreement with that, or is there any suggestions?
Sounds good.
Well, we're gonna start getting run out of here, so unless,
Public comment?
oh, yes.
Or
Oh,
less.
I missed that. Any other public comment?
Y'all have like the annual possum tracking contest?
You know, I think we ought to have Possum Day where you pull him out in March, and if he sees a shadow, it's gonna be a drought.
What you could do is, possum, how much moonshine does it take to get a possum drunk with true medicine?
Hey, that would be a really good competition. Oh, anything else?
No public comment, but you've had 13 viewers and you have 4 current viewers on the YouTube channel.
Oh, wow, we're YouTube stars.
And this was our first day using Teams for the meeting
Okay.
instead of GoTo.
Okay.
All right, well, look, thank you all for the work you're doing, and I know it's a lot, and we've had a lot, we got a lot to do, but it's obviously, we started this committee to help develop our economy and develop our tax base and opportunities for citizens. So if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye.